recording? There we go. All right.
There we go.
All right. Good evening. Welcome to the first Southeastern 16 live stream of the 2024-25 basketball season. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. You too, Sam Smith. I'm joined by Blake Lovell and Max Barr. We're going to give our preseason All-SEC awards, teams, all kinds of stuff. Guys, we have been waiting for this all day. I know it's football season. I know that's exciting too, but I think nothing gets us going like basketball. At least I know that's the case for you, Max Barr.
Oh, come on. We're going to be watching basketball, well, for a few hours already at this time tomorrow. I mean, that is just – it still hasn't sunk in for me exactly. Like, we're waking up tomorrow and we're watching college basketball. And good games too. Really good games. I'm stoked.
I'll tell you what gets me going. That's getting people here as new members of the It Just Means More tier at Southeastern 16. Dawn jumping in as a new member. Shout out to Dawn and Sam Smith, of course, who will let you know that he's a member all day, every day. But we appreciate the support. If you want to join that, you can. $3.99 a month. Lets us do more live streams. And my goodness, if you want more live streams, you might want to mute the notifications because we're going to be doing live streams all the time during basketball season. Don't do that. Don't mute us. But maybe you can mute one of us. Maybe that's a selection we should have. Just pick and choose. So whenever you want to talk about offense, you mute Chris. Whenever you want to talk about defense, just mute me. And that's how we play it this season. So
I got a question, Max. Are you going to be up at 10 in the morning for the big IU Columbus, IU Indianapolis game? That's the first game of the college basketball season, according to the ESPN scoreboard. I'm not sure who on that is the Division I team now. I guess one of those. Indianapolis must have joined Division I, but that is first up tomorrow, and then just down the road from me in Murfreesboro, Oglethorpe, and MTSU.
Listen, the ball is tipped. It's on my screen tomorrow. Okay, it doesn't matter who's on the court. Ball is tipped, basketball on screen. That's the end of the equation.
When the ball is tipped, there you are. Nothing but the best. Max is a shooting star. Come on, guys. We're not even in the March rhythm yet.
No, I'm checking the schedule. Sorry.
Listen, here, let me ask you this before you get into the schedule. Why are we not doing the 24-hour tip-off marathon anymore? Why is there not a game being played at 3 a.m. in the morning? I remember back years ago, Niagara's playing somebody at 5 a.m. There was 4 people in the gym, and I'm watching it on ESPN, the Ocho, and that's what we need back. We need those kind of games on the East Coast. You're playing games at 8 in the morning, where all the people on the West Coast are watching them at 5 a.m. Like, come on. Like, that's what I want back. Bring it back, ESPN. Bring it back.
You heard him. Go ahead, Chris.
When Max Barr is made commissioner of college basketball, we'll get that fixed. But in the meantime, we've got, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
13.
13 games. And then I think, who starts Tuesday?
3 on Wednesday.
3 on Wednesday.
Wednesday, I'm sorry. Excuse me. Yeah.
The LSU, Arkansas, and Auburn are on Wednesday. Everyone else starts tomorrow.
Gotcha. Okay. Blake Lovell, where would you like to take this? I know we got a lot of ground to cover tonight.
Always a dangerous question. Pitching that to me. Let's jump into. We said we'd do some awards, so let's do that. Of course, the SEC's awards have been out for a bit, but we figured we've already released our rankings, and boy, there was a lot of great positive feedback to those. So we figured, why not do awards too? Why not, right? I mean, so we were just joking about the rankings, but not really. All right, so here's what we're going to do. We're going to go through. We're going to pick our player of the year, coach of the year, first team, second team, third team. We're only doing 5 on these teams, okay? We're obviously going to leave a couple people off. We get it. Defensive player of the year, freshman of the year. I got breakout player of the year. Max is going to probably bring up the Bullyball. We'll do all those kind of things. How about that? We'll run through that here in the first little bit, and then we'll save a great chunk of this SEC Basketball League special for the people to talk about tomorrow's games, going into the season, your questions, comments, all this kind of stuff. As Big Baller Brett says, UNC Asheville, you're on the clock. Who's next already for the Crimson Tide of Alabama coming off a Final Four run. So here we go, guys. Let's get it started. How about what do you want to do first?
Well, before we do anything, we need to thank the people who help us pay the bills around here. Basketball fans, it is that time of the year. The NBA is back from opening tip-off to buzzer beaters. BetOnline has you covered with the best odds, biggest promotions, and live in-game betting on all your favorite teams. This season, every game matters. BetOnline has every stat, every matchup breakdown, even live odds to bet on during the game. It's not just the NBA. BetOnline has odds on everything from football, MLB playoffs, which are now over, NHL, and political props. Head on to the website today to get in on the action with America's most trusted site for online wagering. BetOnline, the game starts here.
All right, Max, I want to give you the honors here. Do you want to do Player of the Year, Coach of the Year? What do you want to do first? We want to just name our teams, and then we'll go to our individual awards. How do you want to do it?
Yeah, let's go teams first, and then we'll get into individual.
Do you think there's going to be any difference in our first team All-SECs between the three of us? I'm going to say no.
I'm going to say yes.
You think so?
Yep. I think I might have.
You're the wild card. All right. Okay. Well, let me give you mine first. Mark Sears from Alabama, Janai Broome at Auburn, Wade Taylor, Texas A&M, Walter Clayton at Florida, Zakai Ziegler at Tennessee. There's your 5 right there. Chris?
I like it. Chris?
I had the first 4 you named, and I had as my 5th guy, Grant Nelson.
Boy.
So who did you leave off that Blake had?
Zakai Ziegler.
Wow. Wow.
I tried to go
the
2
nerve.
bigs and 3 guards with that one too. So
Oh, come on. We don't play positions here. We just give me the 5 best players. All right?
All right.
Max's mustache is better than Grant Nelson's.
I don't let's pause it right there. First team, Mark Sears, Walter Clayton, Wade Taylor, Janai Broome, and Josh Hubbard. Mississippi
Oh,
State.
okay. Both you guys knocking Zakai Ziegler. What are you doing? Get these guys out of here.
I don't got him far behind. It's a
Come
tight
on.
vote.
Zakai
It's a
Ziegler.
tight vote.
Spoiler. I'm going to mention Zakai Ziegler again in a few minutes. Second team. Here's what I got. Oh, hold on a second. Who did you have on the first team, Chris? That wasn't Zakai
Sears,
Ziegler?
Taylor, Clayton,
Oh,
Broome,
Nelson. You had Nelson. Okay. All right, second team. Ooh, I may be going a little bit off on this one.
Oh, boy.
I hate that I'm going first. All right, we're going to do snake order on this one. Max, you're first.
Darn it. Knew that was coming. All right. Second team, Zakai Ziegler. He was top vote.
Boo.
Then we have Matt Morrell, Ole Miss. We have Colin Murray Boyles, South Carolina. Grant Nelson, Alabama. And Chad Baker Mazzara, Auburn, rounding out the second team.
All right. Chris?
I went Zakai Ziegler, leading off the second team.
I like that,
You
Chris. That's a
bums.
great pick, Chris.
You two are bums.
Thank you,
Put
Max.
Zakai
What a-
Ziegler on the
I'm outta
second
here.
team.
That's what
Absolute
we'll do.
bums.
Great
All
pick,
right.
Chris.
Josh Hubbard, Colin Murray Boyles, Janelle Davis of Arkansas, Andrew Carr of Kentucky.
Andrew
Wow.
Carr. Nice.
Carr, huh? I did not listen. I think Andrew Carr's going to be great. I did not expect him to be above someone else on Kentucky.
Look at what he did last year.
Well, yeah,
Okay.
right. Okay. All right.
Chris Lee with an early.
Also kind of sticking with trying to get a big man on here too.
Oh, okay. I forgot. You're doing positions. I don't. It's
Well,
positionless
you
basketball.
can't
here.
have 5,
you can.
6'1" guys on the floor at the same time.
We'll see what Vanderbilt does
I
this
mean, you
year.
can,
All right. Okay. Grant Nelson from Alabama. Colin Murray Boyle, South Carolina. Josh Hubbard, Mississippi State. Matt Morrell, Ole Miss. John L. Davis, Arkansas. My second team. Oh, that's right.
Snake
We're doing
order,
snake
Blake.
order. Oh,
Snake
man.
order.
Why did I
Yeah.
implement this? This is a
You don't
terrible
get to
idea.
undo the snake order once you implement
I think it should
the
go to
snake.
Chris this next time. What do you think? All right. Okay, third team. This is where we're definitely going to leave off some players, and it's just impossible. We're doing the 5, and again, I applaud the SEC. We talked about it. Thankfully, we're doing the 5 and not having to do the 9 on every team and all that. If we were doing that, it'd be an easy exercise, but it's not. All right, third team, all SEC. I got Jackson Robinson from Kentucky, Jonas Adu at Arkansas, Tremont Mark at Texas, Chad Baker-Mazara at Auburn, and Elijah Martin at Florida, who I still don't think is getting enough love this offseason. There you go. Now, listen, my honorable mention, guys that were right there that I would have put in that position. Who was it? I just completely forgot. So I'm sure you guys will come up with it. Big Cliff was one. Big Cliff was one I had on there that was close. That would have given Alabama the trifecta on my 3 teams. I did consider, I see in the comments, I did consider Mark Mitchell from Missouri because I would, okay, Missouri's going to be much improved. The best player I think on that team is going to be Mark Mitchell. That was in consideration. And so, look, the coaches put Trey Johnson on there, freshman, Texas. That kind of tells you what they think. So that was another one that I had right there, but I picked Mark over him for that one. So,
Chris?
I went with Tony Perkins of Missouri, Chad Baker-Mazara at Auburn, Tremont Mark at Texas, Jonas Adu at Arkansas, and Big Cliff at Alabama.
So let's see. Of my list, you left off Jackson Robinson and Elijah Martin. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
I went a little bit different here on the third team. I got Tony Perkins. Chris, I didn't think you were going to take Tony Perkins. I got Tony Perkins third. He was second team All Big Ten last year, so he's got the accolades. I got Cam Matthews. Have to.
Oh, of course. I mean, come on.
I got Big Cliff, and then I have 2 players from Arkansas. Not the ones you think. I've got Jonas Adu and Adu Thiero.
Oh, Thiero. Okay.
Yeah.
Yep. I am starting my ship on Adu Thiero. I sent out a tweet. I think he's the best player on the team. He's not going to get the love because he's not flashy. You're going to get the love from me, Adu. Third team.
Nice.
This was tough. In all seriousness, there were probably 20 guys I could have justified putting on any of these teams. And I mean, it's, I didn't have, there's a ton of guys I didn't have. Matt Morrell, one that comes to mind. I think one of you put Morrell on your second team, I believe.
I think we both did.
Yeah.
Did you? Yeah. I mean, that was one I had. I mean, there's a bunch I had a hard time with leaving off.
Texas's whole guard lineup, Tremont Mark, Pope, Trey Johnson. I felt bad for not having one of them.
Yeah, I wasn't going to put a freshman on there unless it was just obvious.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think you got a couple options on the freshman, but I think sometimes it's just hard when you see all these other guys that have played and you're like, I'm going to give these guys the benefit of the doubt. But there are a couple guys that I think I would have considered, but I'll talk about them when we get to our breakout players. But I like Tony Perkins joining. I'm glad you guys are giving Mizzou the love. I try to hold back. I try not to be too blatantly biased here, but I appreciate you guys stepping up for me in this scenario. So
Tony's good. You want to go to underrated next, or the coaches and player of the year?
Did you do a most underrated team?
I did an all underrated team. I did a 5.
Yeah. Give us that.
Okay. I went Jordan Gainey, Tennessee. I think a lot of people are expecting Chaz Lanier just to take over, and I think it might be a little bit more Gainey than you expect. Chandell Weaver, Texas, one of my favorite players in the league. He is a power forward in a 6'3" body. The guy's a monster. Dre Davis, Ole Miss, another guy that just fits the archetype I like. Does a little bit of everything. Basically won the NIT for Seton Hall. And then 2 players on the same team. I didn't want to do it, but I had to do it. I got Mo Diabate on Alabama, one of my favorite players. And then Jaron Stevenson also. Feel like he just gets kind of swept under the other big men there. But Jaron Stevenson, he could be in the NBA this year. I really think he's underrated.
Chris, did you do an underrated team? Or
I did. And you guys may laugh at me for some of these being underrated because they're established guys, but I will say none of them got named to our teams. Jamari Thomas at South Carolina, Farrell Payne at A&M, Julian Larry at Texas, Duke Miles at Oklahoma, Kanye Clary at Mississippi State. I don't think I saw any of those guys on any All-SEC teams. And any other year, a lot of those guys could have been there.
All right. mine will start, and Max is going to, no surprise where mine will start here. Chris Youngblood, who we know is out of action for a little bit, but my guy, Chris Youngblood, is on the list here. I also, and again, I don't know if underrated, call it what you want, but I still think Denver Jones is kind of underrated. So I'm gonna keep putting him on the list for me. So I'll go Denver Jones. Also would put Silas Demery on the list.
Nice.
I think Lamont Butler's on there too, and because I think we had Carr, we had Robinson. Obviously lots to talk about, a lot of other guys, but Butler I think is the leader on the floor, the point guard for Kentucky. He was on a team that got to the national championship. How many is that? Did I have 3 or 4? I think I've had 4 so far.
4.
And then my 5th one, I put Tamar Bates at Missouri. I still,
nice.
Who he is, but it's just we're talking about a lot of other guys in Missouri this year and not him necessarily as much, which I don't think that's – I think it's just because there's a lot of, Mark Mitchell and Tony Perkins come in and they're going to get a lot of the attention, but – I mean, you can forget what Bates did, and I know they were not good last year, but I would put him on there. So there you go.
I like it. That's one of my favorite ones, the underrated ones. I like doing those.
I guess I need to put LeBaron Philon on there too, according to Christian, because Christian is, he may get spammed out of the chat here for as many times as he said LeBaron Philon in the chat. So, anyways, and I think, look, these preseason awards too, I think sometimes when you put these together, it's almost a case of you kind of have to be it's a little tricky because you're trying to figure like who are going to cannibalize each other in terms of like the numbers.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's the hard thing. So
I had a hard time with Kentucky with that.
Yeah. Like it's hard to like pick the right guy. And like, it's why I didn't have Big Cliff on any of my teams. Not that I don't think he's going to get the numbers, but I'm like, okay, Sears getting a lot of numbers. Nelson's getting a lot of numbers. There's so much to spread around on Alabama. Even though that guy's probably close to averaging a double-double and he's going to be there somewhere. But it made it tough because you want to try to see who are the guys who are going to get the numbers sometimes. And it's just when you have loaded teams like that, sometimes it's not easy to figure out where you want to put these guys. So
I actually went back and looked at BYU's Big 12 awards last year and see who got on from Mark Pope teams last year. He didn't have anybody on the first, second, or third team Big 12 just because of how spread out the offense is. I was like, I need to put a Kentucky person in here. I can't figure out which one to do. I just ended up leaving them all off.
All right, look, since Christian asked for this in the comments, all right, he wants an all-aura team, okay? Ooh. The guys that just, when they walk in the building, you're like, it's time. Like, it's time. Okay, one for sure.
He might be careful because there's a couple guys I'm going to take he's probably not going to appreciate here.
Oh, boy. Well,
yeah.
One for sure is Cam Matthews. He's got the aura. And I know that Max would probably choose him as the number one pick. But
on the tip of my tongue, I was waiting.
Cam Matthews would be number one on my choice of this group. Let me find you a number 2 real quick.
A guard can have it also.
Sure.
It doesn't have to be a Bullyball guy.
I think Josh Hubbard's on there. Look, we're starting with 2 Mississippi State guys, but I think both of these guys are on the all-aura team, the first 5. So that's good. That's good for Mississippi State. So who else are we adding to the list here?
You've got to have Janai Broome and Chad Baker-Mazara. And I think
I would agree with that too. I think you're right. Yeah.
I mean, those guys mean business when they hit the floor, and they let you know it.
Man, I don't know. There's a lot. Whoa!
Burke disagrees with this. So Dylan Cardwell's getting some votes too.
I knew that was going to be trouble.
Well, that's what happens when you get Alabama.
I got a little. Dylan Cardwell's name may come up later. Just saying.
Who else, Max? We got to add Grant Nelson. I mean, look, I
was going to say Sears.
You got to put Nelson on there for the stash alone. Max has an aura to him. So Sears. Okay, that's another good choice. I mean, he's potentially the player of the year. So, yeah. Okay.
Probably my number 1, though, would probably be, besides Cam Matthews, because obviously I'm going to pick Cam Matthews, probably be Baker-Mazara.
Yeah.
Probably do Baker-Mazara. He's got the personality. He's got the flash. Yeah.
I like it. All right. There you go.
What's
on
next?
The fly. All-aura team. Okay. What else we got?
Player of the year and coach of the year?
Let's see. By the way, the comment from Chris in here is concerned we don't know anything. Trust me, we don't. That's nothing new. If you're just joining for the first time, guaranteed you're right on that. We don't have a clue what we're talking about. That'll be proven by the end of week 1, probably. End of week 1, you'll have half the teams we picked to go to the Final Four will be 0-4.
I was just thinking, like, can you guys name the preseason All-SEC team last year off the top of your head? Because I'm thinking, like, and this is how crazy the direction of a season can be. Like, I'm pretty sure Santiago Vescovi was like a near consensus.
I think Brazil was also
pick. Yeah, I mean, and those
Brazil.
guys were nowhere near it at the end. So
Yeah.
we probably don't know anything.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Broom was on there. Nelson was on there. That's all I remember.
I think Brazil was.
Tolu Smith.
I'm
Yeah,
gonna
Tolu
pull
Smith.
up Blue Ribbon from last year. So give me just a minute while you guys chat.
All right. While we chat, we're going to go into some awards. All right, Max, we've gotten through our teams. Now we're going to go to our individual awards, right? So let's start with...
I've got my all Bullyball team that I'll end with.
Oh, you've still got the Bullyball team. Well, my goodness. By all means.
You want me to do that right now?
Yeah, let's get physical here.
Oh,
Come on.
Okay. Yep. Highly anticipated. The committee's been at work long hours, long hours. Could only keep this to 5, so there's a lot of bullies left out. So we created a watch list that's going to be ever evolving during the season.
Will we get emails for that? Like updated weekly emails?
The committee's working on it.
Okay.
I'll get it back to our secretary. We have top 5 here, preseason all Bullyball team. We're going to start with the bottom votes and work up to the top. We have a freshman on the preseason all Bullyball team for the first time, Sampto Cyril, Georgia. Yeah, you want to look at the shoulders on that guy, you're running in the other direction. Sampto Cyril, first freshman on the preseason team. Then we got Josh the Horse Gray. No explanation needed right there. Big Cliff Amori, transfer. Andy Garcia, Texas A&M. No stranger to the Bullyball team. And then our preseason Bullyball player of the year, to no surprise, Cam Matthews, Mississippi State. One player of the year last year. Now, real quickly, I will go through our watch list that the committee is keeping our eye on. There's been a lot of tips from the public.
It's so absurd.
This is an ever-evolving scenario. Mo Diabate, Alabama. Adu Thiero, Arkansas. RJ Godfrey, Georgia. Amari Williams, Kentucky. And Otega Owe, Kentucky. Peyton Marshall, Missouri. Felix Akpara, Tennessee. Solo Washington, Texas A&M. Mikhail Brown-Jones, watch out for him. Ole Miss, and Dylan Cardwell, Auburn. That's the 10-player watch list. Ever evolving, is going to be changing by the week. There you have it. A lot of work went into that. Lots.
Yeah, I say if you're not sold on signing up for the email list for the weekly updates on the Bullyball team this year, I don't know what you guys are doing. Because that sold me right there. I'm ready to run through a wall for these guys and that team.
We're not
right
messing
there.
around.
So, by the way, shout out to Mother Carol, who is back, a member of the It Just Means More tier for 7 months, as you can see on the screen there. Joined us way back in March when we were doing these live streams every day, which we may be doing that again soon. Keeping track this year. She's going to keep track. We're putting her in charge, okay? Everything we get right, she will keep up with. Everything we get right, she will keep up with, all right?
Yep.
Nothing wrong, Mother Carol, right? We're not going to get anything wrong. So, yes, we appreciate Mother Carol. Before we get into our individual awards, we will respond, as always, to your Super Chats. So if you want to jump in with a Super Chat, we'll get to those very quickly. What do we got here? $2 coming in from Money Man Sean on this one, okay? How about best SEC small ball lineup? Small ball lineup.
Like overall or just by team?
Sean, tell us what you want. I would say, like, pick a small ball.
Pick a small
We have
ball
to have like
lineup.
6-1 under. What's the
Sure.
rules here?
Give me here.
We need
Let me
another
find
rules.
you a starting point, okay? Small ball. So just give me a lineup where you could plug in 5 guys.
And it would work.
It's tough. It's tough. Yeah, it would work. So like you're playing Chad Baker-Mazar at the 5.
The 5 is Jemai Meshack.
Okay. You
Yeah.
can do that too.
Yeah.
5's Jemai Meshack. 6'4".
Okay. I like that.
Ziegler's got
So
to
then you got to go. You got to go smaller than every other position.
Chendell Weaver. He's on the volleyball.
That would
Josh
work.
Hubbard. Give me Josh Hubbard, 5'10".
Josh Hubbard for sure. He's your shooting guard.
I mean, you got to give me Mark Sears if he's 6'1". He's under 6'4", which we established our center is 6'4". So Mark Sears got to be on there.
I think Chad Baker-Mazara could be your 4 on that team.
Here's what I would like. I'd like Lamont Butler dishing it out to Mark Sears and Josh Hubbard. Give me all the threes. Give me Lamont Butler, true point guard, dishing it out, 6'2". He meets the criteria.
Wade Taylor's got to be on there. Good grief. Where's our heads?
We could pick anybody under 6'4" at this point. I mean, that's kind of what we're doing here. But we appreciate this. We'll put more thought into this maybe as we continue on. But, all right. Now we need to get to some individual awards. Oh, Chris has a team, he said. Come on, Chris. What's your other team you want to give us?
Yeah, I've come up with Chris's Tree of Trust. These are 5 guys. They might not be on any team. They might not even start for their own teams. But, man, you know, year in and year out, game in and game out, you know exactly what you're getting from these guys.
I love this.
They are good. They are consistent. They can be counted on. Leading off my Tree of Trust, I said his name would come up again, Dylan Cardwell.
Tree of Trust.
That guy is so consistent, followed by Latrell Wrightsell at Alabama, Kirk Risa at Kentucky, Will Richard at Florida, and Jamin Brakefield at Ole Miss, who does a lot of stuff very well. That is Chris's Tree of Trust. And the head coach on the tree, who do you think the head coach on the Tree of Trust would be? Come on, guys.
I mean,
this guy, if we were doing a show, Rick Barnes, I was going to say, if we're doing this show in 2050 opening day and God willing, Rick Barnes is still alive and coaching, he probably won't have missed an NCAA tournament between now and then. They might be 100 years old by that point. But he will get the NCAA tournament every year. You'll have your team in contention for a title. He is consistent as it comes.
Shocking that no Zakai Ziegler on the Tree of Trust, because we know that Chris just can't stand Zakai
I just gave you the rules for the Tree of Trust.
There are no rules, Chris. I get it, you guys. You just don't. You don't like Zakai Ziegler. Like, that's when we get the clickbait sites coming out of this show right here, okay? People are going to write articles about how you guys don't like Zakai Ziegler. I'm not giving them any ideas, but I'm just saying. The disrespect for Zakai Ziegler on the first team, show-altering is the way I look at it.
Judge Judy, this man is an instigator and an agitator.
By the way, Chris earlier, again, we were bringing up Chris's comment about we don't know anything. Well, we're back in Chris's Tree of Trust now.
We're the Tree of Trust.
The $2 super chat, the Tree of Trust is here. So there you go. All right, let's move on from this Tree of Trust nonsense.
Jeez.
What's next? Like,
we never got to our breakout players and our players of the year and our coach of the year.
Yes, I'm aware, Chris. That's what we're about to get to now. We're getting to our individual awards. We just went through all the teams.
Never got there.
Now we're getting to the individual awards, okay? Let's start with our pick for Breakout Player of the Year. Snake order. I will go first. Give me the man in Athens, Georgia, who already somewhat broke out last year, but now is the time for everyone to realize that Silas Demery Jr. Is he a junior? I don't remember.
Yep.
Is he?
Yep.
He is.
Yep.
Breakout time in 24-25. Give me Silas Demery, my breakout player of the year.
I don't think if you played 1,000 minutes last year, you're a breakout guy.
Oh,
that's just me.
Nice. Nice.
I'm going to start off the season needling my man right away.
Nice. That was a good one.
But hey, you do you, Blake.
Who do you got, Chris?
I'm going to have to mute my microphone here in a minute. We're getting kicked off YouTube. All right.
See, I think Breakout is a guy that kind of comes a little bit out of nowhere. And so depending on where the bar for the rules are, because I think this is hard. You got a lot of dudes in this league that played a lot of ball and played at a high level. I think maybe Adu Fierro. I'm a little worried about crowding out of playing time. But although you named him the best player on the team, so if that's the case, then not. And I think if you want to go deeper, I like Jalen Carey at Vandy.
Jalen Carey.
Darren Stevenson's another one I thought about too. I'm a little worried about, there's only so many minutes to go around, but that's why I think this was the hardest thing we tried to do.
Yeah, mine was a Duthiero, and it wasn't even a second guess for me. I think he's going to be fantastic this year, and I think he was last year too. But if that is not under the criteria, then I'm going to go Modi Abate. I love the way he plays. He plays like he just had smelling salts in the huddle. He just comes out and runs around like a madman. I love him. Modi, breakout.
Okay. Let's move on. We'll get back to the hall monitors rules here in a second. But Silas Demery, you still are awarded the breakout player of the year for me, despite playing 1,000.2.48 minutes or whatever the hell it was. So, all right. Freshman of the year. Who is our pick for freshman of the year? Max, we go back to you as the snake order here.
I went against the grain on this one. I'm going Asa Newell, Georgia. What I saw from him so far in these exhibitions, and I try not to buy too much in, but he's got me sold. I am huge on Newell. I think he's going to be fantastic.
I'll go with the coaches, Trey Johnson. You just have no idea. I mean, I'll tell you, look good the other night is Boogie Flan. You know how much that there were some guys. It's hard to know in exhibitions for a lot of reasons. One of which is Arkansas had some guys out. I think Newell might be the safest pick because he's the one guy we know is going to have a pretty. I mean, Trey Johnson will too, but I mean he fits a big need on that team.
Yeah.
All right. Well, since this will give us all a different pick, I'll go Boogie Flan since Chris picked Trey Johnson, so that way they're all represented here. And so yeah, I think it's close. I would pick between one of those two. You know, I almost went LeBaron Philon, but Christian just mentioned him so much in the comments that I just decided out of spite I could not pick him. So I would have picked him had Christian not been in the comments, to be honest with you. So nonetheless, I'll go Boogie Flan. I'll take a shot and say that, you know, he just really emerges, and so I'll pick him. But I think there are several good options here. And that's like we always say. Well, yeah, like I was gonna say, like it's the league is so represented in terms of like older guys that, you know, it's not what it used to be in terms of this. And so but I'll go Boogie Flan for mine. So all right. Oh boy. Everyone, I mean, boy, let's just see what we get here as the response. The defensive player of the year in the SEC. I already know who it's not going to be for these two guys, so I'm going to pick him and say Zakai Ziegler because these two are guaranteed not to pick Zakai Ziegler as their defensive player of the year. Give me Zakai Ziegler in Knoxville for the Vols.
Okay.
You guys reveal your picks next.
Chris?
I'm taking Zakai Ziegler as my defensive player of the year.
The upset of the year. No way. Wow. What an upset.
Oh, my gosh.
Wow. All right. Max, your turn.
Okay. I'm not happy with my pick. I wanted to go Jemai Meshack. I just didn't have the stones to do it. I went Janai Broom. Let it be known, Meshack was in the brain and wanted to do it. Couldn't pull the trigger. Going Broom.
Okay, how about let's pick two. Let's pick a big and let's pick a guard. So
Chris wants to pick two, so he doesn't have to only pick Zakai Ziegler. He's like, I can't do it. You got to give me another pick. Oh, this is terrible. Terrible.
Big Cliff would be my big.
Terrible.
Terrible.
Oh boy. All right, Chris.
Big man be.
I mean, according to Alabama fans, their entire team should win every award in the chat right now. There'd be no bias involved by these Alabama fans here. The usuals jumping in here. But, I mean, I'd pick Janai Broom as the big man.
Okay.
Yeah.
No Meshack love from you guys?
Oh, here we go.
Oh, now they don't like Meshack.
Is he a big?
My goodness.
He is on your small team.
Oh, boy. Are we done here with this award?
Yeah.
All right. Next. Okay.
Yeah, player and coach.
Oh, yeah. Here we go. Coach of the year in the SEC this season. Max gets to go first via the snake order here.
Okay, I looked back at the last few coaches of the year, and the last few have not been number one. It's been like a team that's been picked low, that's outperformed. So that's where I went, and I'm going Chris Beard, Ole Miss. I think they got a good chance finishing top half. They've looked real. Malik Diaz looked really, really good, and just with the award going to one of those coaches, I feel like Beard's got a good chance.
I thought hard about Beard. I think I picked Ole Miss 8th, and I've got some reservations about that. But I went Mark Pope at Kentucky.
Is that Blake's? Was that Blake's?
I knew he was going to take mine. I knew it. I knew he was going to take mine. So therefore, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to switch my vote. I had Mark Pope on my list here. He was going to be my choice, but we like to have everyone represented. So therefore, we're going back to where it needs to go. Give me Dennis Gates at Missouri to bring the Tigers back from Ophir to the NCAA tournament this season. So I had Mark Pope as my first choice, but because Chris went there, I'll go Dennis Gates, the turnaround season for my guy. And I know, South Carolina fans, you're wondering, how are we not picking Father Lamont Paris? Just give it time. Let it play out, right? Let it play out. We know what we did last year. Let it play out. Okay? So, there you go. Sam with the comment of the night.
Coach of the year 2 years ago?
No, it was Stackhouse and Buzz co-won it, didn't they?
Stackhouse, they were like
Dennis got
4 coaches
snubbed
of the year.
So
that was such disrespect.
By the way,
I knew you were
comment
going
of the night,
Dennis.
Sam Smith. I mean, look, I had Mark Pope. It's right here on my list, but Chris took it, so I was just like, let me pivot here. Anytime I need to pivot, I can always pivot to Dennis Gates. So, all right, Sam, there you go. Okay, player of the year. Oh, no. It's me, isn't it?
Yep.
Well, again, as I said earlier, I think there is a certain team that is so loaded with talent. And in my opinion, the clear number one choice to, at full strength, be the best team in college basketball. That's the Alabama Crimson Tide. All right? So because of that, and I feel like they're going to spread the wealth around, even though there, to me, is a very clear number one and maybe even 1A type guy in Mark Sears and Grant Nelson, Janai Broome is my pick for player of the year.
Mark Sears.
Let's see what the comments look like after this. Let's just wait and see how this unfolds.
Chris, I think what did I hear there?
Mark Sears.
Mark Sears?
Sam's got all kinds of allegations tonight.
Blake, I actually had your literal exact same thought process. Exact same. I thought Mark Sears would not have the stats that Broome would have, especially with Jalen Williams going out. Broome's going to have an uptick even more. I feel like Broome's numbers are just going to be crazy, and that's usually what wins the award.
Yep. That's just look. We said I don't want to knock anyone else, but like it's one of those two guys, and if it's anyone else, I think it's an upset.
Okay, who's your upset pick? Who's your upset?
Well,
pick?
I mean, I think if you're going upset, I think it's Walter Clayton would be the number 3 guy in my opinion. Now, if Wade Taylor, we always talk about like the numbers and the efficiency and those kind of things. I mean, could Wade Taylor just go off in SEC play and score 30 every night? Sure, he could. And be player of the year again? Absolutely. But I think I'd be stunned if it's not Sears or Broome. Again, I just don't. To me, it's got to be one of those guys because, I mean, we're talking probably 2 of the top 5-6 players in the country, right? So, like, they both have National Player of the Year pedigree if they're able to, again, fuel their teams to where we think they're going to be. So, yeah.
I think if Walter Clayton is averaging up there at like 18, 19 points a game, also, we just wouldn't be able to keep him out of that conversation.
Yeah. So, shocked that neither of you guys mentioned Zakai Ziegler as an option. All right. By the way, Christian, you came here for intel. Then I don't know why you came here. We don't do intel here. Okay, we do pure entertainment. That's what we're doing here at Southeastern 16. So, anyways, all right. Is that all the picks we have for our awards? Is there anything we missed?
That's everything I've got.
All right. Chris, what about future fans? Do they have awards?
Oh yeah, future fans. Hey, if you want your kids to watch
Yeah,
basketball
no
with
idea
you,
that was coming, but there you go. So.
if you want your kids to watch basketball with you, I don't even know if they have a basketball thing yet, but they will.
So
If you
we're
want your
selling a
kids to watch
product they
football
don't
with
even
you,
have.
hey,
We're
they
selling
make
people
stuff for
on this
different
product.
sports. They got some stuff on the drawing board. I don't know what's come out yet and what's not, but I do know if you want your kids to watch football with you, I'll tell you where to go. It's futurefans.com. We've been telling you a lot about them lately, the way they help little kids become big fans by understanding football is so cool. If you've ever tried to explain football to a little kid, you know how hard it is. The dads who invented this have figured it out for the rest of us future fans. Is the easy button for getting your kid to watch the game with you on Saturday. I've literally heard stories of kids who weeks after trying this game have begged their fathers, even girls, boys and girls alike, begged their dads to watch football with them. If you want that experience in your family, order the kit from Future Fans. You can see it behind me partially. I cannot believe this thing only costs $50. It's got books. It's got games. It is very well made. And your kid will understand how football works in no time. Give it a week or two. You'll see what we're talking about. Go to futurefans.com. Use the code SEC. Help those who help our show. And thank us for it later.
Very well done.
Sam Smith, if you're a company, I cannot encourage you anymore to hire Chris Lee to do all your advertising. Oh, my. Well, there you go.
All right.
Sam also says he only supports services that support Chris Lee. So
thank you,
smart
Sam.
man. All right, Max. There are games
tomorrow.
Being played tomorrow night. And so let's talk about those. All right. So I think if we're looking at it from the SEC standpoint, right, you got a lot of games here, and we'll pull up Bet Online and look at some of the spreads. Let me just tell you, some of them are pretty wide in terms of the SEC being the favorite in some of these games. But I think your headliners are absolutely Missouri at Memphis. That's a big one. Texas at Ohio State. That's the late game in Las Vegas there. So that's a big game. I think
A&M
Texas
and Florida,
A&M
probably.
Yeah, Texas A&M UCF is interesting. Look, I mean, the Florida South Florida game. I mean, we would have certainly looked at that. I just don't even. I mean, how do you even?
I don't even know how you
comprehend what you're gonna get there from USF given what happened. So, but I think let's start with Missouri Memphis because I think that's one that a lot of our viewers are interested in. And again, guys, like you'll see how our schedule will be this year. We'll go through. We'll react. We'll do some prediction videos for certain games. We won't do it for every game, at least in non-conference play. We will once we get to conference play. But, Max, as we look at this Missouri-Memphis matchup, what's the thing that you're most interested in? I think Memphis about a 4.5 point favorite in that game.
Yeah, wrong team's favored. I think the line should be flipped the other way. And the reason why is depth and physicality. I think Missouri has them both with a massive, massive edge. This is a rare game where one team's rotation is probably going to have more players than the other team's roster has. Very rare. Missouri's had a few different dismissals. They've got 8-9 players to play tomorrow night. And Missouri could probably go 10, 11, 12 deep with those four-star freshmen also. You're going to have Tony Perkins having a 4-inch height advantage on Tyrese Hunter the whole game, which is going to be a big advantage for Mizzou. And then Memphis is probably their most not most, but their best back-to-the-basket scorer, Dane Danger, at 270. He's going to give a lot of defenses issues this year. Not Missouri, because they got 300-pound Peyton Marshall and another 270-pounder Josh Gray. So it's just kind of a good matchup physicality-wise, and Missouri's just not going to have – or Memphis is just not going to have the depth for when Marquise Warwick comes in, Tamar Bates comes in, Caleb Grill. I mean, they're just going to come in waves, and then you're going to see that over the game.
Yeah, I think for Missouri, we've said I think the difference this year is they have more depth to work with. Last year, that was a big problem why they couldn't finish games. They'd have injuries and sometimes just have guys run out of gas. This year they have more, I think, to work with. That's the thing I'm most intrigued by. Like, your game 1 rotation is not going to be your game 15 rotation, but
right.
I want to see from the start, what have they seen to put a certain rotation on the floor early? And, say, all right, these are maybe that group of 7 or 8 that we feel like long term give us the best chance. And because again, I think they're going to rotate quite a few guys in and out here. I'd be surprised if they don't. And so I think they'll be able to play a little bit more like Dennis Gates wants, to have that depth. The rotations will be better. But again, you're also still working on things early in the season. We're not going to really find out exactly what they're going to be, for another month and a half maybe. But they need their stars to be as good as advertised. They need Tony Perkins. They need Mark Mitchell. They need those guys to come in and be game changers right away. And if that's displayed in game 1, I think they got a great chance to win this game. As people have noted in the comments, I think these are both teams that shooting the ball from outside may not be a strength. And so how does that kind of play out here? And of course, the obvious things too for Missouri, defense and rebounding. I think those have been two things that have stood out, in the Dennis Gates era. They turned the ball over, or they forced a lot more turnovers a couple years ago. That helped them, get better offense and those kind of things. But can they do that here? Can they rebound the ball well? You definitely want to see those things improve from game 1. I mean, that's stuff that is noticeable, I think, from game 1, if they can do that, and that'll be a big factor, I think, in this game.
I want to ask you guys both, because I've been knee-deep in football, and I'm getting there on basketball, but not to the degree that you guys are. But, I mean, they've got Tamar Bates, who was a big-time scorer for them at times last year. They're bringing back Caleb Grill, who was going to have a huge role last year until he got hurt. But between Grill coming back, you got Marcus Warwick from Northern Kentucky, Jacob Cruz from Tennessee Martin. Both those guys were big-time scorers at their previous stop. What role do you guys think that they fit on this team?
That's what we're gonna find out. Cruz is gonna need to be that shooter. They'll need that. They'll definitely need Cruz's shooting. But as far as Blake and I were talking about this in the summer with Drew King, that Caleb Grill, Marquise Warwick, Tamar Bates, Anor Boateng, they all just kind of mush into the same shooting guard position. I have no clue what to expect, to be honest.
Oh, that's right. And they've got the freshman class too. I mean, it is a weird year for freshmen, because you've got, I mean, it's just every team in this league has got 5 guys that played a ton of minutes somewhere else last year. And they're all class of 2020 guys.
Listen, Boateng, we talked about it, Max. I'd be shocked if this guy's not in that rotation somewhere. I just think he's going to play. And it's just, it's where the minutes come from, right? I mean, that's the thing. And so, I again, the depth I think is much better. And I feel like we will see that for Missouri in this game. But, it is game 1 on the road after, last year to year doesn't really mean what it used to, because you're flipping the team each year. But, again, this is a program feels like it has something to prove. And guess what? Penny's kind of in a spot where he feels like he's got something to prove too. So we know kind of where things stand with that. So, yeah, I think this is the most intriguing game of the night for sure. So
it's also a revenge game, though, because Memphis went into Columbia last year and won by 15. Kind of stomped them. Yeah. So a little bit of a revenge factor here.
All right. Texas. What do we think about Texas at Ohio State? Because you guys know I've said it. I think Texas, I think they can be pretty good. And we mentioned some of the reasons why earlier, when you've got a Tremont Mark, a Trey Johnson, that guard group I think is really good. There are some questions in the front court, as we know. Maybe what's the rotation look like at the 5, the 4, those kind of things. But it's a good first game. I think they're favored, Max, by 2, 2.5, something like that. Going and playing this game in Las Vegas against the Buckeyes.
Well, it's a really good game, because I feel like these are kind of similar team builds, where it's wow, they got some really good guards, and then it gets to the front court, and you're I know the names, they're not bad, but I don't know if this is going to work like I know the backcourt is. I feel like I feel that way about Texas and Ohio State. Bruce Thornton is fantastic for Ohio State, very, very good. And then obviously we know Michi Johnson. Micah Parrish has been playing basketball for, I think he's been in college for 5-6 years. I can't even remember. It's been a while. But the backcourt, I feel like the backcourts are going to win this game, whoever wins that backcourt, because I don't really know what to expect out of the front.
Aaron Bradshaw's status. I know there was an update today. What did
I was looking, I can't find it.
I thought I saw something earlier on whether, of course, that, there's another SEC tie-in terms of this game. Of course, Michie Johnson's there and Bradshaw's there. I thought I saw something earlier. I'll try to find it. Chris, if you want to weigh in or your thoughts on what you want to see here and stuff.
No, I was just trying to buy time till my dog stopped losing his mind.
Bradshaw's available, by the way. I just found it. So
Okay.
he is
No,
available.
to be honest, I don't know much about Ohio State. I trust you guys on that one more than me.
Well, I know they're coached by Jake Diebler. That's
Yep.
So we'll see. I think that's a big game for Texas because I think, again, it's you get a power conference win right off the bat. One of those games where it is game one. Your season's not going to be decided by one game. But, I mean, if you kind of look at their schedule, Max, I was looking at it. After this game, they play 3 KenPom sub 340 teams. So they'll win all those games by 30 plus. Then they got Syracuse. I think that's in that's the whatever that's called. Like it's the Barclays Center in Brooklyn. So I assume that they're
Cuse
paired with
isn't
someone
bad.
else.
Cuse is not bad.
Well, and I'm gonna have to look up who the other teams are in that part of the bracket or whatever. But Delaware State, Arkansas Pine Bluff, New Orleans, Northwestern State, all of those teams I just mentioned, plus Houston Christian, Chicago State, Mississippi Valley State, they're all, at least in KenPom right now, ranked 326th or lower. That's like 7 or 8 games against that many teams that are projected there, or at least against start there in KenPom. Not the end-all be-all, but that's just something, right? So you've got Ohio State, Syracuse, and whoever else they play in Brooklyn. They play a road game at NC State, and then they play UConn at home on December the 8th. Obviously, that's the marquee game of the non-conference. So I think this is a big one because you win a game like this against, I think, what should be a good Ohio State team. If you can do that off the bat, and of course, you don't want to drop any of these games to these bad teams, but you don't really have a lot of opportunity outside of just, 3-4 games maybe in this non-conference. So
I'm telling you right now, that Syracuse game is not going to be easy because Syracuse has Big Eddie Lampkin. And Big Eddie Lampkin probably going to have a field day against Caden Shedrick. So that even – Blake, now that you say that, my gosh. This is a really big game. Yeah. Okay. Guess I'm staying up late.
Is anybody on upset alert this week? I mean, I'm just by the lines. I think UCF is a 4.5-point dog to A&M. I guess Johnny Dawkins is at UCF. He's got a pretty good team most years. Another one that kind of stands out, out of their favorites every year in the American East, Auburn's got Vermont. John Becker does a tremendous job there. I don't know if they've got the horses to go into Auburn and win, but that would be one in terms of like opponents that are tricky that stands out.
Well, I mean, again, if you look at the spreads, like A&M's a 4.5-point favorite in Orlando against UCF. I mean, I think, again, that's to me, it's a pretty important game for A&M. If you're starting off the season, I don't know what Max's reaction would be if they go in and lose this game.
I'd go into hiding.
Max would go into hibernation for a bit.
Yeah.
But so I think, you look at that one, that's obviously the closest spread. Like on night one, Kentucky's about a 20-point favorite over Wright State, which they switched coaches to. Scott Nagy's at Southern Illinois now. Everybody else, probably we mentioned the Florida USF game. That's just a hard game to even know what to do with. I think Florida's like a 10.5-point favorite from what I see. But again, I just have no idea how you look at that game right now. Alabama, huge favorite. Oklahoma and Tennessee keep going down the line. But you mentioned like those Wednesday games. Auburn hosts Vermont. Arkansas hosts Lipscomb. And LSU hosts UL Monroe. So I can't say, Chris, like I think anyone's just on full-on upset alert. But it is. We see this every year. Like there's going to be a couple of those games on either night one, Monday night or Wednesday night, where you're probably going to look up and say, well, this team's letting this team hang around way too long, and will it come back to bite them? In the end, maybe they squeak a game out or something. How much will we overreact to game one for everybody? You better believe we will overreact plenty. But we've been waiting so long for this, so I think we'll see how it plays out. But.
Yeah, I think out of the games we didn't say, for KenPom, all of the teams have at least a 93% chance of winning. Florida is at 79%, but I don't even want to predict that game, to be honest. I don't even want to talk about it really.
Yeah.
But the other ones, Ken Palm 93% or higher. So we'll see. Guarantee you though, there's a halftime score that's like, 1-2 point game, and everyone's screaming and running with their hair on fire. It'll happen.
You know it's going to happen. Like,
Yep.
I mean, look how much we've overreacted to exhibition games. Like, are you kidding me?
Oh.
Official game 1? Oh, it's going to be madness.
There's going to be some player who's going to have a bad game. He'll shoot like 1 for 9, and everyone is just going to be, just wait. It'll happen.
We'll see.
All right, I know we're going to end this here in a couple minutes. I know you guys were following scrimmages over the weekend. Any last-minute notes of interest that we picked up on? I know we were passing around some box scores.
Oh, let me just sit this one out, because I know.
Oh,
what
yeah,
everybody thinks about Arkansas after they lost the exhibition game to TCU. Everyone is like, whoa, whoa, whoa. Arkansas, come on, Blake. Are you kidding me? This team's got no talent. They're terrible. They just lost to TCU. Come on, folks. It's an exhibition game. They were playing without Jonas Adu, a pick for second team, maybe third team All-SEC, depending on who you are.
He's on a team. He's on a team.
Come on. He's on a team. They're playing without him. Yes, Arkansas is going to have some things they got to get better at. Cal said that. But I just don't overreact much to these things. I think this is where, again, we kind of joke, but we can't start overreacting starting tomorrow because these games mean something. So even if you're still a work in progress, the games mean something. So, yes, as Burke says here, I like Burke. He's like our resident statistician here.
Yes.
Where he keeps up with the best quotes as we go along. It's an exhibition game. That's the quote. So,
yes,
let's move on here.
One thing I took was Malik Dia looks fantastic. That's what I took. We were talking about him in the summer. Is he going to work out? Showed flashes. Can he stay on the floor? Man, he looked good. He looked real good. Chris?
No. Listen to you guys.
Nothing.
Everything as expected.
Nothing.
Knew it. So saw it all
I
coming.
got a question, and this is way off the radar. We're in Nashville. Lenny Acuff thinks this is the best team he's got at Lipscomb. They're not getting a lot of preseason love.
Here we go.
In any chance they put a scare into Arkansas for just a bit?
I know you guys are rooting for it, but we'll see. Okay, I don't know.
There's a big game on Saturday. Arkansas may be looking ahead to.
For returning starters.
They got Baylor on Saturday. That's a huge game.
The way Lipscomb plays, all right, I'll say this. Would I be stunned? No. I would not be stunned if this game is interesting. Even as the high man on Arkansas, again, the most meaningful games are not on November the 4th. They're further down the line, but I could see it. I almost have them exactly where I want them, right? Everyone melts down after game 1, and then it's time for the rise, right? So, as Sam also weighing in here with our quotes of the night, no. Grizzly, no. That's it. So, all right. So we'll wrap up here in just a second. I know we were going to try to keep this exactly under an hour, guys. We may go just a minute or two longer. That's fine. You guys weigh in. Like, give us your bold predictions for the season. Anything else? Questions, comments, whatever you got. Before you hop out, do us a favor. Hit that like button. Hit the subscribe button. We're going to do a lot more live streams this year. Last year we did reaction videos the day after. We're going to have our usual prediction videos for some of the bigger non-conference games. We'll have them for every single game in conference play. You already know how that works. But we will be doing a lot more live streams, whether that is night of games, the next day, those kind of things. Be ready. So basketball will be a lot more live versus sort of, our football stuff. We do the one live show a week, couple maybe sometimes, but basketball will be very live because you guys are very live. You enjoy this interaction and that kind of stuff. So, and we appreciate you as always. So, unless we throw it to Chris Lee, where his response to what I just said would be no.
No.
There you go. All right.
Let's see.
Anything else, guys?
We had one right here from Mississippi State fan Bubble Wrap. Ole Miss win against Illinois charity game was a fluke. I'll tell you what. I'm not going to touch on the Illinois fluke charity game, but I will tell you what I'm excited for is an elite in-state Mississippi matchup this year between Chris Beard and the new look, perimeter-oriented Mississippi State Bulldogs. That is going to be a sight to see.
That's going to take some getting used to.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, I agree with that. I don't know. I mean, look, and by the way, too, before we, Gary, longtime follower, as we know, South Carolina fan.
Hey.
We've barely mentioned South Carolina in this stream. Gary, don't worry. We had a pact. We were not going to mention South Carolina a lot. We want to keep them exactly where we need them to be, okay? Flying under the radar, so follow Lamont Paris and come out and do his thing. And remember, too, basketball's back. That also means Max's famous Photoshops are back. So, you know, there will probably be plenty of photos this year with Father Lamont Paris, you know, with his 3 boys. And that's us, his 3 sons. So.
I'll never forget.
Are we going just mustache this year, or are we going to do beard?
I'm keeping it. Okay. I'll tell you what. The guys like it more than you see a girl sees you with a mustache, you'd be like, oh yeah, it looks a little bit better than I thought it would. You know, I guess you could keep it. A guy is like, that looks awesome, dude. I love your mustache. I'm like, hey, everyone likes it. I'm gonna keep it. Same thing as a buzz cut.
All right, so let's do a vote, okay? By the end of the season, whose mustache will be more famous? Max Barr's or Grant Nelson's?
Oh, guys, you're putting me up against tough competition here.
Should I also just get rid of the beard and keep just go stash?
Yes.
Blake,
should we do that too?
Big.
And then Chris has got to have one, okay? So we all 3. That's the pact we'll make, okay? So how about this? If Zakai Ziegler makes first team All-SEC this year, all right, that's the pact, okay? We all have to go, and we won't be able to do it till the end of the season, but that's okay. We can really just let it build to that point, all right? Because you guys are so anti-Zakai Ziegler. If he makes first team All-SEC,
right,
we're all going stashes
because
for the
Adam's
NCAA
the first
tournament.
guy on my second team. I'm
right.
Zakai Ziegler, right?
Yes,
okay.
Absolutely. We don't spread propaganda here, all right? We only speak the facts. So there you go.
I'll tell you what, though. The buzz about this season, it's just got a different feel to it, doesn't it, Blake? Compared to last season?
Does. I mean,
I feel like people are ready.
I think you're going to have 10 NCAA tournament teams. Yeah, it's going to be special. And speaking of special, just Big Baller Brett just brought this up. So, Big Baller Brett, we were hyping this big announcement, okay? We'd rather make sure that we get it right. So we've decided we're going to just hold off a second on that, all right? So trust me, it'll come probably this week maybe if we can iron out the details. But
we got to test it.
We need to do a little test, okay?
Yes.
Things have been a little busy around here. You know, we got football, we got all kinds of stuff. So we're gonna make sure we test this, get everything right. But yes, it will be coming soon. I apologize for hyping it up. I would never do such a thing. I would never hype something up and not deliver. But we're just going to delay it a little bit. So, there you go.
Late stage Freddie.
Oh, boy.
They're just going to get worse and worse as the season goes on. The comparisons.
Yeah, probably so. Anyways. All right. That's it. We can wrap it up here.
Any parting thoughts?
Well, just hit the subscribe button, hit the like button. Again, turn on your notifications, because if you want to catch our basketball stuff, again, we do a lot of live streams. We will have a live stream Tuesday morning after night 1 games. So that one I can tell you we're doing for sure, and then everything else we'll keep you updated in the streams. But you definitely want to make sure you have your notifications on.
I'll be on Saturday, probably.
I think we'll be on a lot this week.
Are we going to do football and basketball live streams Saturday?
Maybe.
Chris, it's basketball season here. It's basketball season.
Listen, I don't care about these football teams and running around trying to make these bowl games to get all these special gifts. All right? Win 5, 6 games, get to a bowl game. We're looking for teams that are going to win 25 plus this year in basketball. maybe the entire SEC, Max. Mathematically, that's
Yeah.
possible, right? They can all win 25 plus. So, some of you guys have already turned the page on football season too, by the way.
Yes.
I know that for sure. So,
Yeah.
There's 3 or 4 fan bases out there that would just
yeah,
as soon it be over.
I can tell you, there's a couple. I see more and more of a couple
Yep.
fan bases coming in here each
Yes.
time now. Hello,
Come on
Auburn
over.
fans. Hello, Mississippi State fans. Hello, Arkansas fans. So
We got to get Oklahoma basketball fans in here. We need to work on that. Football, we had a lot of them until half the offense got hurt.
Get them in
Well.
here. Get some Duke Miles fans in here.
we've not spoken highly of Oklahoma to this point, basketball wise. I don't even know if we mentioned them one time on this live stream other than Duke Miles, but we'll see. So
I think
They gotta
they'll
earn
be
it.
pretty decent, actually. It just is gonna. It's just the league.
yeah,
I had
well, there you heard
Porter
it.
Moser. I like Porter.
Chris likes Oklahoma basketball more than he likes Sakai Ziegler. So
There, I knew that was coming.
Judge Judy, you have to deal with the
Saw that
slander
one.
in season.
Saw that one.
It just is the slander
It's
just
basketball
never
season.
ends.
wow.
Fantasy team moved to 2-6 today.
Wow.
Basketball season.
How about this, Max? Speaking of no one cares about our fantasy teams, but I am down 1.5 heading into Monday Night Football. And I decided to leave Bucky Irving as my other running back and the only player left. And he is questionable and may not play. If I lose by 1.5 because I decided to risk it on Bucky Irving. Oh, boy.
That's the game we play. That's the game we play.
Fantasy sports, you say?
Oh. Did Brett have a question earlier?
Oh, that's right.
Hmm.
Hint, hint.
Hmm.
All right.
Nice.
done here.
Nice.
Okay, you guys, all kidding aside, really enjoyed it. Great to have a lot of people in the chat. Saw new faces, saw familiar faces. We do love our SEC football, baseball, and basketball, but we kind of got our start with Blake and I doing basketball here. So a lot of you that have been around a while, that's kind of what you know us for. That's where we built our brand first. And then we were fortunate enough to add Max last year. And it's been a blast. I get so excited for all the stuff that's coming this year. I don't even know how many live streams we're going to have between now and March, but it's going to be a lot. An intro song, okay.
Listen, if we didn't get hit by YouTube, we would absolutely play Space Jam every single time we start the show.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because half the time we get ready to start, Max has got Space Jam going over there. So
Oh, they don't know about the music before we
no.
start.
No, oh, that would be perfect too.
I'm usually blaring music before we hop on a video.
YouTube does not play around with music copyrights. Like if you go to a press conference or like an on-field thing after a game and there's a song playing in the background, you will get notification for that. I mean, they'd let nothing slide. So in any case,
I mean,
We'll
I
think about
quoted
it.
the
We'll get
words
on
to
that.
One Shining Moment earlier, and I'm worried, are we going to get, hit by that just because I said the words, right? So just don't know.
somebody write us a song or make us a song. How about that?
There you go. I am
We
all on
should have a
board.
contest. Send us your
Yes, we
music
should.
for the show.
Submit
That is-
your intro songs to us. That is the best idea Chris has ever had. He's had some terrible
no
ones,
doubt.
including leaving Zakai Ziegler off his SEC all first team. But this is the best idea he's ever had. Send us a song. Keep it clean, because if it has profanity, we are not allowed to play it here on this very reputable program. But send us a song. So make your own.
And it's literally got to be a song that somebody writes or produces, because if it's got a copyright on it, that will not fly.
Listen, you only get one shot.
We got to have a musician or two in the crowd somewhere.
All right.
All right, yeah, I'm seeing stars here.
Okay.
Come on, guys.
All right. I think that's it. Unless you guys have got something else.
Nope, we'll see you Tuesday morning.
Yeah, can't wait for that. Lots of basketball talk. Monday morning, is when we release, or actually it's about lunchtime when we actually release it. Football power rankings. We'll have our football previews. We'll be busting those out game by game. We'll do a baseball show later in the week. I think we usually do one of those, and whatever happens in SEC football, basketball, baseball, we're here to cover it. Like Blake said, if you have not hit the subscribe button, please do that. That's free. Hit the like button. That helps us out. And come back again next time. We really have enjoyed having everybody here again. Thank you to our presenting sponsor, Bet Online. For Blake Lovell and Max Barr, I'm Chris Lee. Good night. God bless you. You've been watching Southeastern 16, presented by Bet Online.